Education, April 15th, 2025. It is about 4:12 at this point, and we are talking about the board self-evaluation. Now, the policy that guides this is policy 1.103, and it states in here under item item B is that evaluation shall be at a scheduled time, which it is, with all board members present. We are lacking Frida Jones. She is here. She is sick tonight, so we have a couple options. We can postpone this, and I believe, I'm not seeing in policy that this has to be a separate meeting. I think we've kind of done it that way, but I'm not seeing in policy, and maybe I'm missing something here where this needs to be a separate meeting. So we could piggyback this in May if we wanted to reschedule it, or the other alternative is we could vote to suspend policy and proceed with the meeting and do the self-evaluation here. So I believe those are probably my options, Dr. Powell and Mr. Shores, on this. Okay. So we need to do one or the other because we are missing a board member. So I will entertain a motion either way.
I will make a motion to suspend policy and do this right now.
I second that motion.
Okay. So, all in favor, Mr. Gilly,
Aye.
Mr. Cordell,
Aye.
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
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 Chair votes aye, so that passes 8-0. So we are suspending policy and proceeding with the discussion of the Coffee County self-evaluation results. You all should have a copy of this, and it goes through section by section. The first one is board meetings. There's some questions on team building, board superintendent staff relations, vision and planning, or vision planning, board policy, student achievement, board community relations. If I can turn the page here, advocacy and budget and finance. So all those different areas are ones that we went through as board members to evaluate ourselves. And for each topic, we had how we were doing, and then how important that particular topic is. So I'll give you a second to kind of look through here, and at the end, we have two sections that probably everybody focuses on every year is the 6 items with our greatest success. And then conversely, the 6 items with the greatest concern. And then the last page is additional comments that some people have put in. So if everybody's had a chance to look this over, I think usually probably they kind of range around here. Top score is like 5. I think priority was 6, was the top on that. 0 to 6 and 0 to 5 on how we're doing. So it looks like kind of the lowest area was the advocacy was fairly low with 2.97 overall. And then probably our highest area of the groupings was board meetings and student achievement, actually. So those are our 2 highest areas. Student achievement was number 1, and board meetings was the second highest as far as accomplishments go. So if you want to turn to the page where we looked where we had our greatest successes, The number one area that people ranked was the board has sufficient time and opportunity to review the agenda and supporting materials before a board meeting. We rank that, how we're doing is 5.11, and with an importance of 5.56. So both, it's ranked pretty high, and how we're doing is pretty good. And I'd say that Melissa's done a great job in getting things out to the board members with enough time to look at them before the meeting. So that makes sense to me. The board encourages participation by each board member. That got ranked 5 and was ranked 5.56 in importance. The board regularly recognizes student accomplishments at board meetings. We gave that a 5 overall collectively, and that was ranked as 5.56. So there were actually 4 that we ranked at the top here. And the next one, the board recognizes staff accomplishments, and that ranked 5, and that importance was 5.56. The board has developed an ongoing system to review and update all policies annually, 4.56, and that was ranked 5.44 in importance. And lastly, all board members are routinely familiar with the agenda materials and are ready to discuss and decide important items. 4.56 is how we rank that, and with an importance of 5.56. So any comments on that? You can see the graph down here below comparing how we rank ourselves versus how we rank the importance of these things. So any comments on this? This is probably more of a discussion than anything. All right, those are the things we're doing good at. Things we're not doing so good at, areas of concern, is number 1, our school board is respected by the community. That gets a 2.38 with an importance of 5.63. So big gap there, and probably something we need to talk about. And policy, by the way, states that at the conclusion of the evaluation, the board will develop a series of board goals for the ensuing year, which are stated in terms of behavioral change or productivity gains based on this evaluation. So that's number 1, is we need to rebuild that respect with the community. And we can talk about ways to do that. The second lowest ranked was the superintendent is given direction by the board as a whole rather than individual members. That got 3, and it's ranked as a 5.78 in importance. So pretty high. It's ranked pretty high in importance, and kind of middling in terms of how we think we're doing. Third one, the vision represents community priorities. That got a 2.78 and an importance of 5.44. The fourth one is a vision mission statement for the district exists and is periodically reviewed by the board and widely disseminated in the district. That got a ranking of 3 on the self-evaluation and an importance of 5.38. So pretty good gap there. The board is able to disagree on matters and still maintain an attitude of mutual trust and respect. That got 3.56 and ranked as really one of our top what we see in the way of importance, 5.89. And then lastly, our board collectively and as individually regularly contacts legislators regarding their position on important legislation. That got a 2.67, and we rank that in importance as a 5.0. So really the difference here is the difference between how we see the importance and how we think we're doing. So you can see down below the graph here. And then lastly, there was a few comments And we can read those. Some things to, look over there. And it kind of ties back in, I think, to some of our issues here. So, all right. So these were just, I think there was some space on the self-evaluation to add some comments, so you can look those over. So any questions or comments here? How do we normally, I don't remember how we normally looked at these things in the past as far as going and preparing a plan for the board to improve things. We'd kind of gone over the evaluation in the past, but I don't remember having a committee, so we're supposed to do something there, so. Okay. I'm not sure what committee would do that, so,
You just try to learn from it.
yeah.
As a board member, you see where everybody is and what everybody's thinking kind of and what's important, which it obviously appears that we all know how important most of these are, but I pretty well agree with a lot of the numbers. I pretty well agree with a lot of the numbers on there that we've got a lot of work to do.
Mr. Chairman, I think the policy actually states that the board is to use this information to come up with goals for the board. So I'm assuming that that's what you would do at this time is to start coming up with a goal for the board using the self-evaluation.
Right.
Y'all do it however you want to.
Yeah. No,
That's
no,
what the policy, I think, says.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, you write the goals and the board will
we
decide
know
on what
what-
they want to work on and something to strive for.
I mean, does it go in any specific document, or?
I don't think it's intended for a document. I think it's intended for all board members to see where we are as a board. And, you can take your top six greatest success and pat yourselves on the back, but then we can flip over a page on the concerns and, as an individual human, work on it.
well, and I think some of these things probably go to what we're gonna talk about later is our strategic plan. And, a lot of these things I'm seeing here, not all of them, but some of them probably work into that strategic plan. And we're gonna talk about that a little bit at the regular board meeting. So certainly how the school board is respected by the community, that's certainly an area we need to work on, and communication is probably key there, so. But having strategic plan goals, how do we work with the community better and get them on board with what we're doing, so. Other comments? I don't know if we have to formally approve this.
No, I think we did that when we voted a while ago to accept the document.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so items for discussion on this. Does everybody agree with the results? I think we had everybody participated, right? So,
Yeah, they
Kettle?
have to.
I didn't get that. I
Oh,
don't know.
okay.
But she didn't send me anything
Okay.
saying that nobody did.
okay,
But I'm like you, it kind of looks like it would go in this 5-year plan instead of the strategic plan. I think the director does the strategic.
right.
So this 5-year plan, so,
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about that in the meeting tonight is how do we turn that into something useful? And I think that's gonna be, some of these things,
Yeah, I mean, that'll, obviously we can find 5-year plans, annual plans, different kind of plans for all of this to factor into, but we have a lot of low numbers in some places that, as an individual board member, I need to look at those and then study the way I do things and see if I can't do something better to alleviate that number. So I think this is just a good check for everybody and, kind of as a nine-person panel, We're right in, I think everybody knows where we need to be and how we are. And, I think we just need to strive as individuals and school board members to make those numbers better any way we can.
Yeah, you know, and it's interesting, you go to, you know, our lowest ranked one is, the school board is respected by the community, but we go and we say, okay, our board is accountable to the community, actually rates pretty high. You know, the board provides for involvement of the public in operating our schools. I think we, you know, so generally, you know, we just gotta figure out how we do better relating back to the community.
Success. And we can't expect it.
Well, yeah,
We can't expect it. I mean, you know, we can't expect the respect to come back, but success certainly helps. And doing the right things and you know, there's a lot goes into that, not respected by the community. It's how we all interact with each other. It's choices and decisions we make. Every bit of that. So
you know, some of these.
some things you can't please everybody with, but some things, you know, you probably could.
Well, and sometimes there's hard decisions to be made that, you know,
Yes.
it's kinda like, you
Yes.
can't please
Yes.
everybody. And a couple of these, vision and the vision mission statement, those are part of the 5-year plan.
Yes.
So, you know, I know that, I need to do better on maintaining control of meetings sometimes, you know, not, it's hard to balance. You know, I found it's hard to balance things where, you know, having enough discussion, but letting discussion get out of hand and the meeting getting long and things like that. So it's like,
Well, and a lot to help you with that would be like the number 7, the board is able to disagree on matters and
Right.
still maintain an attitude of mutual respect and trust.
right,
I'm guilty of that too. I'll say it. I mean, you know, we all get heartfelt sometimes and things get out of hand. Well, that would help you with that if we can get a control on some of that stuff. Of course, obviously, you can't avoid every bit of that all the time. We're all humans and we all still believe strongly about things, but it all works hand in hand to end up with these kind of scores.
right. And there's a fine line between discussion and disagreement and you know, kind of getting into a, you know, getting beyond that, I guess. So, now, one thing I will say that you know, everybody seems to show up to meetings and know what's on the agenda and has reviewed all the agenda items and is ready to look at things and vote and discuss things. So that I think is pretty awesome because that saves a lot of time.
We just got to work on getting here and then fighting.
Well, you got 9 personalities and you're gonna clash occasionally. It's kinda, you know.
Mr. Chairman, I know it's difficult, and I've been in your situation before. When you first became members of the Board of Education and went to the orientation, remember one thing that they told you was that you may not agree with every vote that's taken, but as a board member, you have to accept the majority of the vote and live with that, so to speak. And for the most part, I think that's what I've seen most of you doing. But I think that's something that it's difficult to do sometimes because you have an issue that you feel very strongly about, but apparently 4 or 5 more don't feel that strongly about it. And it's not like you've been defeated. It's just the fact that your interest maybe was more than theirs was. So I think that's something that we all have to strive for, regardless of where we are, whether it's just being with individuals or being on a Board of Education or county commission, whatever the case may be. But I think that's something that all of us need to strive for, is to accept what the majority voted on, because that's what you agreed to when you were to serve on the board, whether it's this board or any other board's concerned. But I think you, for the most part, I think everyone's done a good job, and with the exception of, a few disagreements, so to speak, I think the board has worked together. It's like I told our staff, and I wasn't being critical, but I guess I was too. I've been involved with boards of education for 50 plus years, I guess, one way or the other. And it seems like, and I know 9 people it's hard to get 9 people to agree on anything just about. 5 is not bad, 7 is close, but when you get to 9, sometimes that gets to be, because you've all got varied interest, and you've got various communities that you work with in your communities, but you have to think about, yes, I'm working with my community, but I'm also working for the full county as such, and I think that's difficult sometimes to do. But, with a few exceptions, I think that for the most part, the time I've been here, y'all have done a good job. I told my staff then, the boards I've worked with, for whatever reason, you folks just have a different mindset. And whether that's good or bad, that's my opinion about it. Everybody has their own thing they want to think about, but I think we've got to get together and work together as such. And I think, generally speaking, you've done that, but that's what it's all about. Whether you like the vote or whether you don't like the vote, you have to live with it. Whether you voted for it or against it, I think.
Yeah, that was the hardest thing for me to learn.
Sir?
That was the hardest thing for me to learn. It really was.
It is. It's very difficult to learn. You think you've been defeated, and you don't want to be defeated, but
Yeah, I think my first year I got thumped a few times by
that's
Mr.
why you've got
Gilligan.
9 people trying to make decisions, and
And I learned it.
it's difficult for 2 people
Sorry.
to make decisions sometimes, let alone 9.
It's just you learn those things, and and I agree. All right. Any other questions, comments on this? I mean, we got a few things we got to work on, and some of it is going to be, I see like 3 or 4 things that are going to be strategic plan type stuff or 5-year plan type stuff. So, if not, we can pull this meeting to a close and take a little bit of a recess until our 5 o'clock regular board meeting. Any other comments? Last chance? All right, let's close out this meeting. I guess we need a motion to close.
I so moved.
I'll second.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All right. 5 o'clock next